Good morning, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Buddhist Fellowship on this amazing Sunday. Please settle down as we are about to start our Sunday service. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So please settle down. We will start our Sunday service today. We will start with the chanting. And later there might be ayah coming, so we'll probably just pay respect when she passes through. But we'll start with Sunday service now. Please sit comfortably. We'll start the chanting. Yeah. All right. Let's ask all be in Anjali position on our knee. We'll start with paying respect by the salutation to the triple gem. Arahang sama sambuddho bhagava Buddhang bhagavantang abhivademi. Swakato bhagavata dhammo Dhammang namasami. Supatipanno bhagavato sawaka sangho sanghang namami. We'll do the offerings. Please put your palms together to partake in the offerings to the Buddha. The offering of the 5 items allows us to express our gratitude to the Buddha and serve as a symbol to help us remember the teachings. Please join wholeheartedly and read the verses together. Offering of light. Light symbolizes wisdom. May the light of Dhamma dispel the darkness of ignorance. Offering of incense. Incense symbolizes the fragrance of pure moral conduct. This reminds us to cultivate good conduct. Offering of water. Water symbolizes purity, clarity, and calmness. It reminds us to practice the Buddha's teachings, to cleanse one's mind, which is full of desires, ill will, and delusion, to attain the state of purity. Offering of fruits. Fruits symbolize the ultimate fruit and enlightenment, which is our goal. They also remind us that all actions will have their effects. Offering of flowers. Flowers symbolize impermanence. The freshness, fragrance, and beauty of flowers are impermanent. This reminds us that we should all live in the present. Remembering thus, we should reduce our craving and attachment. Let us now pay homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. We shall now chant the verses for taking the 3 refuges. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. We shall now chant these verses to observe the 5 precepts. Panatipata Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami, Adinadana Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami, Kamesu Micacara Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami, Musawada Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami, Surameraya Majapamadatana Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami. Let us recollect the sublime qualities of the Buddha. Iti piso bhagawa arahang sama sambuddho Vijacarana sampano sugato lokawidu Anutaro purisa dhammasarati Sattha dewam manusanang Buddho Bhagavati. Let us recollect the sublime qualities of the Dhamma. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanaiko Pacatang Veditabo Vinyuhiti. Let us recollect the sublime qualities of the Sangha. Supatipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Ujupatipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Samipatipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Samicipatipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Yadidang Cattari Purisa Yugani Atta Purisa Pugala Esa Bhagavata bhagavato sāvaka sangho ahuneyo pahuneyo dakhineyo anjali karaniyo anutarang punyaketam lokasati. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us still be in Anjali because Ayah Upeka is here. Let us pay respect to Ayah. Yeah. It's okay. All right. Welcome once again for everyone who just joined us. Please take your time to settle down. Yeah. I will now proceed with the announcement for the days. Yeah, let's start with the first announcement. Yeah, so, as mentioned, we have Ayah Opeka in town today. Please note that the talk will happen at 2 to 4 p.m. today. So she'll be sharing about how effective is the dedication of marriage to our departed loved one. And please also take note that Thursday on 8th of December, there will also be another meditation and Q&A happening here at 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 Singapore time. Okay? Just take note the activities for Ayah Upeka. Yeah? All right, so there'll be a short video playing. Please watch this video. Right, so as the video said, next week, please take note, next week there will be no Sunday service. Instead, there will be a one-day retreat with Longta Siri. Please take note that for this retreat, you need to register. So please register at Eventbrite to make sure that your name is actually captured, because there will be a lunch provided during the retreat. Okay, so take note, next week it will start at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It will start with 8 a.m. with a rice pindapat. So if you are coming here to offer the alms bowl, our friendly volunteers will actually coordinate. So just be there. They will help you to provide the rice to do the alms bowl offering. But if you want to bring anything more than that, please pass it to the volunteers next week. Okay. So just take note of this. There are a list of other activities in collaboration with Wat Palilai Buddhist Center. So there will be activities on the 10th of December itself. I think there's a talk at 7:30. And then Buddhist fellowship here on the 11th on Sunday. And there's another activities in Palilai on Monday itself. Yeah, please take note. Okay, so we are at the start of December. These are the whole lineup that we have in December. I think we have an exciting lineup actually for the month of December. So like today we have Dr. Ng, next week we have Longta Siri, we have Venerable Ten Chodron, and then we have Ajahn Brahmali. So please take note of this. And all this information is available in our website or in our social media. Okay, Ajahn Brahmali teaching tour happening on the eve of Christmas as well as on the Christmas day. Please take note for the one-day workshop happening on the eve of Christmas, 24 December. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You need to register. But for the talk, you can actually just come like a normal Sunday service on the 25th of December. And do note that the Sunday service will start at 10 a.m. instead of 10:30 as usual. Okay? Yeah. And of course, we have Ajahn Brahm in town in Chui Hua Lim Club. So it's happening on Wednesday, 28 December. It will start with a half-day retreat from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Same thing, you need to go to Eventbrite to register. And then after the meditation half-day retreat, it will be followed by the Dhamma talk. Okay, it's all going to happen at Chui Halim Club on Wednesday, 28 December. So please go to Eventbrite for registration. Yeah. Right. Dhamma Foundation course for next year, it will start from 7 January to 5 March, happening 1:30 to 4 p.m. every Saturday at BF West Center as well as on Zoom. Please register for this course. This is the only course that's going to happen next year. So if you want to register for another Dhamma Foundation course, you'll need to wait until 2024. So if you want to be part of this course, do register in Eventbrite. Yeah? And our regular activities of BF is Yin Yoga for meditation. You can always to BF is every Tuesday for these classes. Just bring your cash and just join the Yin Yoga. Do take note, during Chinese New Year and the week after Chinese New Year, there will be no classes. Okay? Right, as mentioned about BF Dhamma Home, we are in the process of trying to get our own home. So if you want to contribute, these are the different ways to contribute to help BF get the Dhamma Home. If you need more details, please visit the website, which is bfdhammahome.org. Okay. Right. So for today, we are privileged to have Dr. Ng Wai Chong on a meditation Sunday on death contemplation. Dr. Ong is a medical doctor and founder and a CEO of social enterprise, providing clinical and developmental services for aging-related causes. He has been an active volunteer with the NUS Medical Dhamma Circle since 1988 and is the vice president of Cakrawala Meditation Center. He studies the Dhamma and meditation under the Sayalai Dipankara, a disciple of the Venerable Pak Aw Sayadaw. So without further ado, I'll just pass the time to Dr. Ng.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We'll do a short meditation. Then after that, I'll explain a little bit about mindfulness on death, Maranasati, and then we'll practice mindfulness on death. And yeah, we will finish before 12 with Q&A put in. Okay, so let us practice meditation to calm ourselves down, to keep the mind wholesome, and then we make use of objects that are taught by the Buddha, so that the mind is observing neutral objects and then becomes calm and respectful, so that it's ready for mindfulness on death. Okay. So many of you have practiced before, but if you follow my instructions, it can also be easy. But those of you who practice regularly, you probably can shut your ear down and then just practice on your own. So you can close your eyes, sit upright. Okay, you can fold your legs like what I do, half lotus, or you can just have one leg over in front of the other. Or if you practice yoga regularly, you may like to do a full lotus, become very stable, and you don't need a cushion if you have a full lotus. So with the back upright, let us begin by systematically relaxing ourselves, starting with the top of the head. Feel the muscles soft and supple, flowing. Feel the muscles melting around our forehead and the temples, around the eyes, in the eye sockets. Let all the muscles loosen around our cheeks and our jaws. Feel the muscles melting away, flowing downwards at the neck, releasing all the tension built up over the past 1 week. And feel the muscles at the shoulder releasing their grip, allowing both arms to hang by their weight at the side of the body. The muscles flowing down to the elbows, the forearms, all the way to the wrists, the hands, and the fingertips. Feel all the muscles totally calm, relaxed, soften, almost liquid, melting, falling off our bones. And feel the muscles on our chest and our back relaxing, flowing, feeling the spine recoiling to its most natural, comfortable position, slightly curved at the neck. And then feel the lungs breathing freely, liberated, naturally, with nothing to prove. Completely aligned with nature. And feel the muscles in our abdomen and our back relaxing, except to keep the body upright. For the upright position is best for the practice of samadhi. And feel all the organs inside the abdomen stacking one on top of the other, resting, comfortable, relaxed, anchoring all the weight at the base of our abdomen, the center of gravity, anchoring such that the body is stable. And when the body is stable, the mind shall be stable. And feel the muscles in our buttocks, the thighs, soft, liquid, melting at our knees and our calves, our ankles and our feet, as if all the muscles are flowing all the way to the floor, plastering the whole body onto our seat. When the body is stable, the mind is stable, light, soft, supple, clear. Feel the mind at our hearts, at the base of our heart, like water too, like a lake in the high mountains. When all the winds have stopped, there is not even a ripple on the surface, and the water is like a mirror, reflecting without controlling, without participating, without anticipating. And when the mind is still, just like water, it is clear, transparent, for all the sediments have settled, and we can see the fishes and the stones, the sand at the base of the lake. Relishing the moment when the mind is calm and the body is at peace. Have a vision of ourselves seated here, a vision of a man or a woman. The vision can be one where we are looking upon ourselves from above or from behind, or directly in front of us, seeing the face and the whole body. A vision of ourselves shall be the object of loving kindness. May this person be free from danger, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering. May this good person, regardless of what he or she has done, has been, or who this person is, the door of my heart is always open to this person. For loving kindness taught by the Buddha is unconditional. And all good disciples of the Buddha abide by this love. And allow the loving kindness to radiate outwards like a light in a room, shining in all directions across space. Even with the eyes closed, let us have an image of all our friends seated in this hall, either in front of them or behind all of them or on top of all of us. The mind is free. The mind is really free when it is wholesome. Let the mind visualize all beings in this hall and unreservedly telling ourselves quietly, may all my friends in this shrine hall be free from danger, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering, and may all of us be well and happy. Feeling the loving kindness radiating outwards, touching the hearts of all our friends here. And when the loving kindness is sincere, all beings will receive it. And let the loving kindness overflow and penetrate beyond the walls of this space, across the whole neighborhood, having a vision of people on the streets, at the bus stops, in the vehicles, in the apartments, in the parks, on the roads, in the trains, in the markets. Let the mind rise higher and higher, like an eagle soaring into the sky, with sharp eyes looking down on all humans, across the land and the seas and the forests, in the cities, in the countryside, across the whole of Southeast Asia, regardless ethnicities, nationalities, religions, rich or poor, young or old, men or women, and embracing the whole world like the moon shining down on all beings equally, kindly, without any biases whatsoever. May all humans be free from danger, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering, and may all of us be well and happy. And just as the light of the moon and the sun shine on all beings, humans or otherwise, seen or unseen, all beings across the whole world and across the whole universe, all the devas, the ghosts, animals, hell beings, the Brahmas, humans, and not just in this world, but in other worlds. May all beings in all the worlds, in all directions, across space and time, May all beings be free from danger, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering, and be well, and be happy. And gently bring the mind back to the body. Pay attention on the natural breath in front of our nostrils, above our upper lips. Knowing an in-breath as an in-breath, out-breath as an out-breath. Like the oldest friend and the closest kin, always journeying life with us from the point of birth until the very last moment of life. Holding the heart, respectful, trusting, soft and gentle, keeping the breath as its only object, completely devoted to the breath, surrendering the mind to the breath, appreciating every moment of the breath, in-breath, out-breath, throughout its course, relinquishing all control, observing like a disciple, for the breath is the Dhamma. It's our connection to the Buddha. So let the mind be a forever disciple of the breath. Knowing, learning, earnestly, carefully, respectfully, mindfully, every moment of the breath. And at our own time, you may open your eyes. The sharing today is going to be relatively short. We like it to be practical. When we learn the breath meditation, it is after a period of practicing concentration exercise. So the mind becomes very pure and solid, like how you're experiencing just now. And the mind is sober, peaceful, blissful, happy, unbiased. And that's when we learn the 4 protective meditation. The first one is the mindfulness on the quality of the Buddha. So it's using the one that we chanted just now, Itipiso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho. You can use any one of these qualities and reflect on its meaning, and using the meaning as the object of meditation. Just like when we practice breath meditation, breath is the object. Loving kindness meditation, beings are the object. Mindfulness on the quality of the Buddha, which is very ephemeral, ethereal, difficult to grasp, difficult to fully understand, but inspiring nonetheless, because it is a perfection of universe across time and space. So that is the object of mindfulness on the Buddha's quality. And the mind is like always inspired and full of awe. It's like a little fan girl or boy looking at the star. But that is a bit unwholesome, but this one is different. So that's mindfulness on the Buddha's quality. And then we practice mindfulness on 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 asubha, which is the foulness of the body. So, fortunately, I'm a medical doctor. So in my medical school, we did forensic pathology. So I saw this, Dr. Chao Si Cheng. He's really funny. He's very full of humor, and so it is an SGH, the mortuary, and then I saw this corpse, which is a man who hanged himself and only discovered 1 week later. So I saw the corpse. Then that was the object of mindfulness on the foulness of the body. So it's not for the faint-hearted. That's why it's important to practice samadhi first. Okay, so if your mind is restless and very busy with work, not yet suitable. Okay. And then we do loving kindness meditation. Loving kindness meditation is very important. Loving kindness meditation, the basis of loving kindness is non-hate. All the unhappy emotions that all of us have, anger, fear, worries, anxiety, frustration, grief, these are all based on hatred. I mean, hatred is just an English word. It has a lot of connotation. But in actual, in Buddhist practice, you have to imagine, you have to look past the words. Okay? So it's actually the emotion of dosa. Dosa is this emotion that's universal, a repulsion, which is found in even an ant, also found in a cat or a dog, can also be found in a deva. Goes, a lot of it. Okay? So this dosa is the thing that causes unhappiness, and the antidote to it is adosa. That's why the basis of loving kindness is unconditional acceptance, because unconditional acceptance is the opposite of non-acceptance, which is dosa. Okay? So loving kindness meditation is very important. So just now we did loving kindness. Asubha we didn't quite do, foulness of the body, but when we did the 32 parts of the body, there was a little bit of it. Buddha Nusati, I think Sister Sylvia Bay has taught us before, so that is, you can practice that. But today, the fourth one is Maranasati, mindfulness on death. So in traditional forest practice, this is practiced after you have very good foundations of samadhi. Okay, the mind is quite solid, very peaceful, very calm and unbiased. The hindrances are suppressed. Not much of a hatred, not much of an attachment, not much restlessness and worries. No doubt of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, and not sleepy. The mind is alert. So when the mind like that, then you reflect on death. So what is death? This death refers to death of a life in existence, not the death of samsara. Okay? The end of samsara, that means you no longer have this rebirth into existence. It is the deathless state. So death is associated with existence. Okay? So the mindfulness of death, the death here means the death of our existence, either as a human, which is very discrete, pass away. A death is a rebirth, another being based on the karma. So it can be a deva or a ghost. Just like, after rain, you can see a lot of dead logs and dead leaves. Then you start to have fungus growing, or you leave your bread lying on the table. After a few days, start to have molds. So every death is a rebirth. So a death means the end of existence, and then another existence arises, and then when it arises, death happens. Death is already in the DNA. Okay, so this is the meaning of death we're dealing with. But if your mind is very, very sharp and deep in concentration, you will notice that life is found in all phenomenon of the material body that is caused by karma. Okay? All the human bodies, all the phenomenon that is rooted in karma has a life faculty. As long as there's life faculty, there'll be death. Because the life faculty arises with all material phenomenon caused by karma and then pass away with it. And the mind is an activity of material phenomenon caused by karma. So in the mind, there's also this life faculty. So that is the ultimate sense of death. Okay? If you can do that, that is very powerful. Death in every moment, arising. Immediately, anything that arises, it is aging, and death happens in the same moment, arising and passing away. But for all intents and purposes today, the death means the death of an existence here. So that is our object of meditation. This object is not easy to grasp, but we can, like a finger pointing to the moon, we can be inspired to know that. Example, when you read in the news of somebody very young suddenly pass away, or that among your friends, maybe somebody not so close. Why I say not so close? If it's somebody very close, our mind is occupied with grief, so we are not mindful to practice death. Or somebody that we don't like, I mean, if some of us could be so vicious, pass away, then we serve him right. Okay. Yeah, that is also not a mindful way of practicing death. So in the forest retreat, my teacher taught me, the mindfulness of death is when I visualize myself dying and then death. Then I just stay with the idea, then keep telling myself, I will surely die, I will surely die, I will surely die, I will surely die. But that's when the mind is very peaceful. So for you guys, I'm going to do a different way. I'm using a sutta that I'll just read, then you practice, and then we just stay there for a while. Okay. Yeah. So so I think we do it more practical, no theories. Okay. So recalling the peace of mind that you had just now when you're practicing on the breath or loving kindness, okay, then you can listen to a sutta that I'm going to read. It's from the Anguttara Nikaya. The Buddha was talking about one of his past lives. He was a sage known as Araka. And then when I first read it, it's a translation by Nyana Ponika Thera and Bhikkhu Bodhi. And when I first read it, I had a lot of goosebumps. So when you have goosebumps, that is the state of meditation, no? When you hear about life is short, life is uncertain, death is certain, then you reflect, today I'm wearing, this is all dead leaves, so dead leaves, so then you're all goosebumps. Then you just stay your mind on it for as long as possible. That is death meditation. Okay? It's a different kind of meditation from Anapanasati. Okay? The idea is very profound. Okay? So as I read it, at your own time, you will just close your eyes, but you can also open your eyes. Long ago, O monks, there lived a religious teacher named Araka, who was free of sensual lust. He had many hundreds of disciples, and this was the doctrine he taught to them. Short is the life of human beings, O Brahmins, limited and brief. It is full of suffering, full of tribulation. This one should wisely understand. One should do good and live a pure life, for none who is born can escape death. Just as a dewdrop on the tip of a blade of grass will quickly vanish at sunrise and will not last long, even so, Brahmins, is human life like a dewdrop. It is short, limited, and brief. It is full of suffering, full of tribulation. This one should wisely understand. One should do good and live a pure life, for none who is born can escape death. Just as when rain falls from the sky in thick drops, a bubble appearing on the water will quickly vanish and will not last long. Even so, Brahmins, is human life like a water bubble? It is short, for none who is born can escape death. Just as a line drawn on water with a stick will quickly vanish and will not last long, even so, Brahmins, is human life like a line drawn on water. It is short, for none who is born can escape death. Just as a mountain stream coming from afar, swiftly flowing, carrying along much flotsam, will not stand still for a moment, an instant, a second, but will rush on, swirl and flow forward. Even so, Brahmins, is human life like a mountain stream? It is short, for none who is born can escape death. Just as a strong man might form a lump of spittle at the tip of his tongue and spit it out with ease, even so, Brahmins, is human life like a lump of spittle? It is short, for none who is born can escape death. Just as a piece of meat thrown into an iron pan heated all day will quickly burn up and will not last long, even so, Brahmins, is human life like this piece of meat? It is short, for none who is born can escape death. Just as when a cow to be slaughtered is led to the shambles, whenever she lifts a leg, she will be closer to slaughter, closer to death. Even so, Brahmins, is human life like the cattle doomed to slaughter? It is short, limited and brief. It is full of suffering, full of tribulation. This one should wisely understand. One should do good and live a pure life, for none who is born can escape death. But at that time, O monks, the human lifespan was 60,000 years, and at 500 years, girls were marriageable. In those days, people had but 6 afflictions: cold, heat, hunger, thirst, excrement, and urine. Though people lived so long and had so few afflictions, that teacher, Araka, gave his disciples such a teaching: short is the life of human beings. But nowadays, O monks, one could rightly say, short is the life of human beings. For today, one who lives long lives for 100 years or little more. And when living for 100 years, it is just for 300 seasons: 100 winters, 100 summers, and 100 rains. When living for 300 seasons, it is just for 1,200 months: 400 winter months, 400 summer months, and 400 months of the rains. When living for 1,200 months, it is just for 2,400 fortnights: 800 fortnights of winter, 800 of summer, and 800 of the rains. And when living for 2,400 fortnights, it is just 36,000 days: 12,000 days of winter, 12,000 of summer, and 12,000 of the rains. And when living for 36,000 days, he eats just 72,000 meals, 24,000 meals in winter, 24,000 in summer, and 24,000 in the rains. And this includes the taking of mother's milk and the times without food. These are the times without food when agitated or grieved or sick, when observing a fast, or when not obtaining anything to eat. Thus, O monks, I have reckoned the life of a centenarian, the limit of his lifespan, the number of seasons, of years, months, and fortnights, of days and nights, of his meals and foodless times. Whatever should be done by a compassionate teacher who, out of compassion, seeks the welfare of his disciples, that I have done for you. These are the roots of trees, O monks. These are empty huts. Meditate, O monks. Do not be negligent, lest you regret it later. This is our instruction to you. For even if we live to 100 years, it is only 365 days or 1,200 months. And if we are 50 years old, we have 600 months left. But are you sure? For life is uncertain. When shall we pass away? Where shall we die? And how shall we die? And who among our friends and ourselves will die first? Nobody knows. But this I know. I will surely die. I will surely die. And how I die, where I shall die, when I shall die, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I will surely die. This I know. For death is like a murderer that's always around us the moment we are born. It is the destroyer of all our successes, like a huge mountain that's growing day by day in all directions, crushing on its path all victors, conquerors, kings, businessmen, successful engineers, doctors, everyone. And even people of great wisdom and powers die. Even the Buddha himself died. What more? Beings like us. And life is indeed frail, sustained in breath and out breath only, and the food we eat. There will be a day when there is in-breath, but there is no out-breath, or when there's out-breath and there's no in-breath. life is indeed vulnerable and frail. For there are all sorts of bacteria and viruses around us that could kill us when the immunity is low. And moment to moment, there are mutations happening in our cells that can cause cancer only by the power of our immunity that they are suppressed. So life is indeed vulnerable, limited, like a line drawn on water. It's very short. But is life really that long, of 100 years? Across the whole universe of space and time, 100 years is like a flash of lightning, like a line drawn on water, like a bubble on the surface of the lake during heavy rains. Beautiful, bright and shining, but pop it goes. And like a cow moving towards the shambles, every lifting and putting down of her leg is one step closer to slaughter. Life is short. Death is certain. Every moment, the aggregates arise and pass away within a single moment, sustained by karma, by nutrition, by temperature, and by the mind. That's all. We do not know how grateful we should feel only when the Buddha has a reason and his wisdom has taught us life is uncertain, dependent on so many conditions for it to be sustained. We should be so grateful. Life is uncertain. Death is certain. We will surely die. I will surely die. When I shall die, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Reflect on this quietly. Before we end the practice, ask a question. What is truly important? And we may open our eyes at our own time. So this completes a series of 4 meditation subjects. I think it was in August. We practiced 4 elements. And then in September, we did 32 parts of the body. And then in October, Brother Bing Hok taught us mindfulness on the breath. November, Kasina. And today, Maranasati. So if you have any questions related to any of these subjects, you can also ask. So we can have a Q&A.
Any questions from the floor?
Yeah, Dr. Ng. Death, I find it's frightening. I just share some views. I find that you need to be very well practiced to even think about it. Personally, I find the experience itself, I don't have a near-death experience. Maybe when you're sick, the feeling of dying is frightening, like your body closing up, like being trapped in a lift, for example, a very dark place. Therefore, you don't quite know what's happening. Your heart pumps very fast. So it's a frightening experience. Because you are a palliative doctor, you have experienced people's death. That's one. Therefore, if you really want to think about that, meditate on it, with your little understanding of what is near death, I think it's very frightening experience. That's one aspect. The other aspect is this. When you have a loved one who is dying and struggling, it's a great pain to watch them like this, and you can't do anything about it. Yeah, that is the other very painful. So I don't find it, not the way you have done it, which is very peaceful. I don't find it. So until that thing is, I think it needs a very high state. And therefore, perhaps the question is, how do you deal with it even better yourself and people you care about dying in front of you? Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the question. Humans are rational beings, but we are also emotional beings. Okay? Our emotions are not always so logical. Like when you are really in fear, you are in fear, You're helplessly just have fear. Even though you know, what's there to fear? Even though you know the Buddha's teachings, death is a rebirth. There's no such thing as death, end of it all. You'll be reborn. And where you're reborn, you won't be certain. But we know there's a certain science to it. Good deeds, moral habits, last thought moments, usually peaceful, pass away, good place. But you may not recognize anyone, and you're all in a stranger in a new place, dependent on your parents. And then gradually you start to get accustomed to it, enjoy life again, forget about the past. But certain past memories still there, certain inclination, imprint are still there, but you have to start all over again. And then one day, if you practice deeply, you recognize these people actually are connected with you in the past. And then again, because we're emotional beings, we die, we are very afraid. But when we're reborn in a new life, we're very happy, everybody celebrate. Again and again and again, because we are emotional beings. Actually, what's there to celebrate with life? It's the beginning of death. Death is rooted in life. As long as we are reborn, we will die. Do you have faith in the Buddha's teachings? Yes, we have on good days. Yeah, we're emotional beings. Why is it like that? When the mind is gripped with worries and fears, we are quite helpless with it. There is a biology to it. And why did that happen? Sometimes it's because of past experience in childhood or in the past. And that's why in palliative care, it's very meaningful, very important. If we take care of a person, if they die peacefully, the family are not so afraid of death. They can see, I've seen seniors with dementia, without dementia, with stroke, with cancer, passing away. I've seen people passing away peacefully. Just close their eyes, and I have a patient who, for more than a year, Parkinson's, dementia, nasogastric tube, the daughter and the son taking care of her. And before she dies, according to the daughter, told me, it was a long separated sister who visited her. On the same day, she smiled and then she passed away. Yeah. Then also I have another patient, is my boss mother, passed away peacefully, my ex-boss mother, peacefully, around Christmas time. Yeah. And in her life, she was a devout Buddhist, always liked to be generous. When my ex-boss was a young child, somewhere in Hong Kong at the cinema, when they see some destitutes or beggars, the mom will say, give something to them. Then she'll go and give something to the beggars. Then in her last stages of her life, I was her doctor, and then initially there was a little bit of struggle, that she's getting disabled and heart failure. But very soon come to terms with it. Like to listen to Zheng Yan Fa Shi Dhamma talk, Ying Shun Dao Shi, and then before she dies, a few months before, she always sees her mother, then smiling, talking with her mother. Then to me, that is good. At least it gives her peace, Then when she passed away peacefully. And then I've also know of friends who are, do you believe past life, future life? And do you believe that one can know? You can practice systematically and recall the past lives. I have friends who have done that. And they could see actually how the lives are connected. And there's no doubt about rebirth. But it's not something to be celebrated. It doesn't mean that after you die, you get reborn. Oh, great heng, I get reborn. Every rebirth is the beginning of a new death. Only after a while you realize there is no point. Yeah. Of course, when we are living like this, there is a point. The point is to learn the Dhamma. And learning the Dhamma is not just theoretical, because it won't work. Because human beings is emotional too. It's not just intellectual. So you need to integrate your intellect and the emotion through the Noble Eightfold Path. Having the right belief and direct the mind correctly, always being open and generous, kind. Based on that, we practice harmless behavior. Only then you can practice balanced effort to be mindful. Practice deep concentration. When the mind is very concentrated, it is almost like magic. You hear of near-death experience, people can go and see what the surgeon is doing outside the OT, operating theatre. When the mind is concentrated, it is very miraculous like that. So when the mind is very concentrated, that's when you start to understand what the Buddha means when you read the sutta. It is more than what is superficial. That's why you need teachers to guide you. Not just present-day teachers, ancient teachers. The commentators, the Buddha's disciple, Venerable Sariputta, Moggallana, Mahakachana, Upali, all of them have their disciples. analyzing what the Buddha was saying. How do you actually practice? How do you see it? Once you practice, you see, oh, these suttas are really like guides. There's more than that than what's in the suttas. Then when you practice, then you see, yes, 5 aggregates are like that. The mind happens in a certain pattern. And then you start to see what is the cause of it. You analyze the causes. And mind is the cause of matter. Matter is the cause of mind, mutually cause. So what's the root cause? Then all the way to your babyhood, and then your fetalhood, your embryohood. Where did it come from? Is rooted in the past, due to a karmic force that is ripening around your dying moments. Before you die, some people near-death experience, they say, oh, the life flash passed before them. In meditator, it's also like that. Just before you pass away, you see your life, what have you been doing? You're almost like reliving the moments of how you offer flower to the Buddha, how you kill something, or how you pay respect to the Sangha, or your mother, you take care of your children with compassion, Then your last stop moment, when you pass away, you relive that moment, and then that happens, then there's a new life. So when we practice deeply, then we see death is nothing. It's just like a phenomenon, like a leaf growing, then fall apart. All are like that. Nothing special. This Ng Wai Chong, nothing special. This MBBS, nothing really special. Doing a lot of humanitarian work, nothing special. It's only what you need to do, because the only meaningful thing to do is to practice good deeds, cultivating good habits, so that your intellect and your emotion can integrate. And then when you're really helpless, your habit saves you, your karma saves you, because it is a thought pattern. You can't control how you dream, to some extent. If you live your day-to-day life generous, kind, accepting, grateful, always partially detached, in the sense that whatever you see or do, never see them as solid. Always a little bit of a sliver of distance. Then you sleep with sweet dreams. But still, we can't control our dreams because we're not perfect. And that is why death is to be feared. You do not know where is your next rebirth. And we can make use of this fear. In the Buddha's teachings, this fear of death arouses a sense of urgency. Make you wonder, If, say, a murderer meets you and say that, I'll come to you and kill you in the next 100 years. Make sure you lock your door. So you got 100 years, right? So when are you going to lock your door? Well, it's still 100 years. But the death tells you, although I say it's 100 years, I can also come to you tomorrow. You won't know. So if you know that death will happen any time in the next 100 years, what is your priority? Yeah, so we've been learning, what are the priorities here in Buddhist fellowship and in many places. So we should know. We should know. Remember, we are not just intellectual animals, we are also emotional. Emotional animals are helpless. Even no matter how old we are always a child. Okay? So fear and worries are there. But they are not in control. There are ways to deal with it, which is the practice. Ajahn Chah has a very famous teaching. A student asks, what if you have doubt? When you doubt, you have fear, you have worries. Then Ajahn Chah says, you practice until there's no more doubt. Are there any other questions?
Questions?
Yeah, thank you for your talk. I think we all fear death. There's definite about it. But at the same time, we don't know what were our past good deeds or evil deeds. So perhaps the most scary thing would be, before we die, the suffering that we have to go through. So what can we do about this? Thank you.
Yeah, to a huge extent, life is helpless. But also to a huge extent, we have some control. Okay? Oh, it's a long lecture. Actually, I've been giving this class under National Civil Academy about healthy aging. Health is not merely the absence of disease. It is possible to have health even when we are dying. Because health is about functional ability to do things we find meaningful. So even if we are dying, if our meaning is about having a wholesome mind, we can still have wholesome mind state. Okay? So to avoid all this pain and suffering around dying is not just physical. We need to know. Dame Cicely Saunders called it total pain. It is a mix of physical, emotional, existential, social, all come together. The helplessness, the loneliness, everything come together. And to overcome this is keeping ourselves healthy, okay, so they can avoid a lot of pain, okay. Even if there is dying disease that's causing death, it is a short period. Rectangularization of aging. Oh, that's another long story. Why did I use this jargon? I'm so sorry. Okay, rectangularization. So we live long, and then our period of disability and sickness is very short. It is possible. Okay, so that's keeping us healthy, but also keeping resources lah. I mean, in this day and age, I mean, the other word is, the non-jargon word is money, right? But actually what it really means is resources. We need resources to have comfortable environment, to even have a caregiver, not just our family, to buy certain medicine, So resources are important. Resources is also our social capital. Families, friends, close relatives, and then our knowledge is also a protector. As I said, we are emotional, but we are also intellectual. Sometimes we can overcome emotions by our knowledge, by understanding this pain is due to that. This mood is due to that, This is caused by that. So the understanding of the dependent origination alleviate a lot of unhappiness due to not knowing. And the last one is resilience. Resilience is why we are practicing the Dhamma for. It's stress management plus the right view, the right worldview. If your worldview is like human beings is useful, then it is meaningful. A person who is useless, the life is no meaning. Then when one day you are useless, this will actually become an existential crisis, identity crisis for you. My life is meaningful because I'm a famous doctor, I'm a famous teacher, I'm a volunteer with this and that. Then life is really meaningful. But when you're no longer able to volunteer, or when you retire, nobody asks you out for lunch or dinner, is life going to be meaningless? Yes, if you have a wrong view. So the view and your management with your stress, because human is not just intellectual, we're also emotional. Stress management is very important. Okay, stress management is very simple. The 4 conditions of our experience is karma, and a lot of habits from the past and a lot of various kinds of conditioning. And then objects, what we encounter with the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the body and the mind. And lastly, it's just a phenomenon that is helpless, the signs about our mind. So how do we manage our stress? It is the third one. What do you bring to your mind? You're very stressed, look at the Buddha image, calm you down. You're very stressed, listen to the chanting, Namo Tatsi Dape Guan Shi Yin Pusa, Namo Omito Hu, Itipiso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho. This arouses faith. When the mind is full of faith, no worries or fear can arise, provided you practice this regularly. Chanting, Om Mani Padme Hum, Namo Tassa Bhagavata. Chant regularly so that it becomes the go-to refuge when you are having fear. So stress management is about occupying the mind with something that arouses wholesome mind. Yeah. I was at Zookout the other night at Siloso Beach. I never gone to Zouk for a long time. Last time I was very young, I did. So this time I go there, it's totally bizarre for me. It's like techno, dance music, and then you have the DJ, like all sorts of things. Then I suddenly realized, hey, this is Aramana Pachayo, object replacing the mind. Stress management, okay? The people are very stressed and they go there and then they just do this. No, they go into a trance, so these managers are stressed. So I think a lot of people, they are stressed out, so they need something to occupy the mind so that they can get out of the stressful situation, be it computer games, alcohol, dance, music, or mindfulness on the breath, mindfulness on loving kindness. Nothing special. It's just all of us dealing with suffering in our own way. Yeah. Right. You can use this when you're dying also. When we're dying, we have dementia, sometimes, or delirium. You may not be able to control. But there's something you can control. While you do not have dementia, while you do not have delirium, you habituate the mind in a certain way. I have a patient with dementia, full of fear. Used to go to Simalu Guan Yin Miao. So I asked the daughter-in-law to play the mantra of Guan Shi Yin Pusa. It calms her down. Yeah.
Okay. That should probably serve as the last question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Ng, for today.
Yeah, thank you.
Let us all rejoice by saying sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right. We shall now proceed to the next session. Yeah, let us do the closing and the dedication of merits. So in Anjali, let us all invite all sentient beings to participate in our acquired merit. Eta vata ca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabe dewa anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Eta vata ca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabe buddha anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Eta vata ca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabe satta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Let us dedicate these merits of participating in wholesome Dhamma activity to our departed relatives and friends. Idam me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. End of service dedication. I dedicate the merits which I have accumulated to the cultivation of my mind in order to bring happiness and benefits to all sentient beings. I dedicate the merits to my parents, children, spouse, relatives, friends, colleagues, and my adversaries, wishing them long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity. May we never part from the triple gem, and may we always walk the path towards enlightenment. Right. Let us do and pay respect to the triple gem as a closing homage. Arahang sama sambuddho bhagawa Buddhang bhagawantang abhiwademi Swakato bhagavata dhammo dhammang namasami Supatipanno bhagavato sawaka sangho sanghang namami Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Right. Thank you everyone for coming. Do remember for next week there's no Sunday service, so do register in Eventbrite for the Long Tasiri one day retreat. Thank you and have a good Sunday.